everyone, welcome you all to my YouTube channel. I am Megha. Today we will learn about pollination. This is part 4 of the chapter Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants. I hope you have seen my other videos also. If not, please do that as I am doing a lot of efforts to make these chapters easy for you. So let's learn today about pollination. Pollination is the transfer of pollen from the anther to the stigma. Okay, it is nothing but the transfer of pollen from the anther to the stigma. In a proper way, we say that transfer of pollen from the open anther to the receptive stigma of the carpel. Pollination is divided into two: self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination involves the transfer of pollen from the anther of a flower to the stigma of the same flower. Okay, in this, same flower is pollinated. Self-pollination is of two types: autogamy and geitonogamy. Autogamy means self-marriage, gamy means marriage, auto means self, and geitono means neighbor. Okay, so self-pollination is of two types: autogamy and geitonogamy. In autogamy, in this type of pollination, the pollens of the anthers are pollinating the same flower, whereas in geitonogamy, the pollens of the anther are pollinating the same flower but which is born on the same plant but on the different branch. Okay, so this is a geitonogamy, this is autogamy. Now, autogamy occurs in three ways. First is cleistogamy, homogamy, and bud pollination. In cleistogamy means they have a flower which never opens in their life, means they remain closed. This is a closed flower. In this, which pollination will take place? Obviously self, because no other agency can visit this. Now, example of cleistogamous plants are oxalis, viola, and Commelena bengalensis. These are some of the examples. Now, about homogamy. In homogamy, both the parts, reproductive parts, that is female and male, both the parts get mature at the same time. Okay, as I am talking about anthers and the stigma. Anthers and the stigma of the bisexual flower, they mature at the same time. So in this way, self-pollination occur in these plants also. Example are mirabilis, that is 4 o'clock plant, then the catharanthus, potato, and sunflower. Now about this bud pollination. In some plant, in the bud stage only, the male and the female part get mature. Okay, before the blooming of the flower, the male and the female parts get mature, and in this way the self-pollination occurs. Example, wheat and rice. Now about the cross-pollination. Cross-pollination involves the transfer of pollen grain from the flower of one plant to the stigma of the flower of another plant. Okay, it is also called xenogamy and allogamy. Xeno means strange and allo means other. So in this, strange marriage takes place. Okay, are you getting my point? Strange marriage and cross-pollination. Now see the advantages of self-pollination. First is, chances of pollination are more because the pollens are pollinating the same flower, and it avoids mixing because the means no other plants are pollinating, means there is pollination is occurring in the same flower. Then need not to produce large number of pollen grains. Then flowers need not to possess devices such as large and showy petals, scent and nectar. No need of these devices. Now here are some disadvantages also. First is progeny continuously gets weaker after every generation. Then there are less chances of the production of new species. Okay, now let's move on to the cross pollination. As already I discussed with you the definition. Okay, are you well aware of the definition now? Now here are some agencies of cross pollination. If the mode is air, means the pollination is taking place with the help of air, then we call it anemophily. If the mode is water, then hydrophily. If insects, entomophily. Then by birds, ornithophily. Animals, zoophily. By bats, chiropterophily. Okay, air and water are abiotic agencies, whereas insects, birds, animals and bats are the biotic agencies. Abiotic means non-living, biotic means living. Anemophily means the mode is air, hydrophily mode is water, entomophily is the mode is insects, ornithophily birds, zoophily animals and chiropterophily bats. Now move on to the adaptation for cross pollination. Now here we will see what are the adaptation. Why in sunflower cross pollination is occurring and not the self? What are the adaptation in such flowers? So first is the unisexuality. Flowers are unisexual. Either they contain female part or they contain male part. Only one reproductive part is present. Okay, for example, papaya. One plant is having pistillate flower, means female flower, and the other branch is there which is having staminate flower, means the male flower. So in this case, cross pollination takes place. Next is about dichogamy. As we have seen in homogamy, both the reproductive parts mature at the same time, but in dichogamy, maturation time is different. Okay, means pollen and stigma mature at different time. It is of two types. If androecium mature first, then it is called protoandry. Examples are cotton and maize. And if gynoecium mature first, then we call it protogyny. Gyne means gynoecium, andry means androecium. Androecium matures first, protoandry. Gynoecium matures first, protogyny. Example are bajra and custard apple. Next adaptation is heterostyly. In this case, the flowers are having different length of stamens and styles. In the first case, in this flower, this flower is pinnate flower. In pinnate flower, you will see the style are longer in length, whereas in thermite flower, you will see the styles are shorter in length, or we can say stamens are longer, filament is longer. So these are the two types of flower. Pinnate, in pinnate the style are longer, whereas in thermite flower the stamens are longer. Okay, now next adaptation is self-incompatibility. Pollen grain of the same plant will not germinate because they are self-incompatible. The pollen reaches to the stigma, but it will not germinate. The pollen tube will not arise from it because this pollen is self-incompatible. Next is the suppression of one sex. Flowers are bisexual. They have both the sex organ, but only one mature and other becomes non-functional. Okay, this is what suppression of one sex. Either the male become non-functional or female. Next is the hercogamy. In hercogamy, physical barrier between pollen and stigma of the same flower. Example is Calotropis. So there is a physical barrier between the pollen and the stigma. See this diagram. This is a membrane bound structure, or it is called pollinia. Inside the pollinia, numerous pollens are there. Now these pollens cannot come out because they are inside the membrane. So this pollinia, if it reaches to the stigma, the pollens cannot germinate because there is a physical barrier. But after some time, this membrane degrades, but by the time this pollinia reaches to another flower and pollinate the different flower. So this is how cross pollination occurs in this. Are you getting all the adaptations? Now let's see the next. Adaptation in cross pollinating plants based on the agencies. As we have seen the agencies, abiotic and biotic. Abiotic agencies are wind and water. So first is by wind. If the pollination is taking place by wind, then we call it anemophily, and the flowers are called anemophilous flowers. So some example of anemophilous flowers are maize, wheat, rice and grasses. Now see the adaptation in these flowers, not in these flowers, in pollens of these flowers. So first is pollen grains are produced in huge quantities. Okay, lot of pollens are produced by anemophilous flowers. For example, cannabis. Cannabis can produce 5 lakh of pollen grain. One flower I am talking of. Okay, so they can produce a huge quantities of pollens. Second is the pollen is very lightweight. It is powdery, dry and unwettable. Okay, now the pollens are having wings. For example, pine pollen is having wings so that it can be easily carried by the wings. Stigma are large, well exposed, hairy and feathery to catch the pollen grain. Then about have exposed anthers. Flowers are also exposed and they are above the leaf to catch the pollen. Some plants are having versatile anthers. These anthers are connected to the filament in the mid. So they can swing by the wind, and in this way the pollens are carried by the wind from such anthers. In some plants, the anther bursts suddenly and the pollen grains are thrown in the air. And this type of mechanism is called gunpowder mechanism. Example is Urtica. Okay, last one is the flowers are not showy, not colored, without nectar and scent. Because they are wind pollinating flowers, so there is no need of showy petals, no color, no nectar. Okay, now move on to the next slide, that is next pollination, hydrophily. This is the pollination by water. Okay, now the flowers are characterized by some adaptation. First is the flowers are very small, colorless, and the calyx, corolla and other floral parts, pollen grains, stigma, they all are unwettable because the pollination is taking place by water. Okay, stigma are long and sticky. Let's see the plants in which this pollination, that is hydrophily, water pollination, takes place. First as example is Zostera. Remember, this Zostera is having the longest pollen and the pollen is needle-like without the exine. You know the exine and intine, two layers of the pollen. Exine is the outermost, which is made up of non-resistant organic material, that is sporopollenin. So it is having no exine layer is there, and pollen grains are having same specific gravity as that of water. So that is why the pollens of Zostera can float in the water. So these are the male flower and these are the female flower. Now one more thing, this is a hypohydrophily pollination. This is the pollination taking place in the water. If we are talking of epihydrophily, then the pollination is taking place on the surface of water. Okay, on the surface and in the water. In the water is hypohydrophily, on the surface is epihydrophily. So Zostera is an example of hypohydrophily. Male flowers, these are the male flowers which produce pollen grains, and these pollen grains float in the water because they have the same specific gravity as that of the water, and they float and then they reaches to the female flower. Now when they touch these flower, they coil around and germinate. Next is the Ceratophyllum. In Ceratophyllum, both are submerged plant, okay, submerged water plants. Now here you can see these are the male flower, these are the female flower. Male flower produce anther, okay, anther separated and reaches the surface of the water, where anther dehisces and pollens are released. Okay, pollens are released. Then pollens germinate. After the germination, the pollen sink in water and then they come in contact with the female plant, where they fertilize that plant. Now about the Vallisneria. Here the pollination takes place on the surface of water. Vallisneria is a dioecious plant, means male flower and the female flower are on the separate branch. This is male plant, female plant, and this one is the male plant. Now male plant produces male flower. These male flower detached and moves to the surface of water where it floats, and here the female plant have a long stalk which is coiled, and this stalk gets uncoiled so that the female flower also reaches to the surface of water, and here both come in contact and pollination takes place. After pollination, fertilization takes place. Okay, after fertilization, this long stalk uncoiled and coiled back, and the female flower come inside again. This is how pollination takes place in Vallisneria. Now about the insect pollination, entomophily. This is a colorful picture of Vallisneria. These are the staminate flower and these are the pistillate flower which come on the surface, and here the pollination takes place. Okay, entomophily, insect pollination. Now these are the adaptations. So first adaptation is flowers are brightly colored. Okay, they are very large, conspicuous, means they can be easily seen, easily visible. And if the flowers are not colored, then the other parts are colored, like bracts in bougainvillea. Bougainvillea flowers you have seen everywhere. The bracts are colorful, pink, white, orange. Then leaf in euphorbia is also colorful to attract the insects. These flowers produce scent, fragrance and smell. Some flowers produce specific odors to attract specific insects. For example, Rafflesia. Rafflesia flower smell is like rotten meat. Okay. Then there is a flower called Aristolochia. It has a smell of decaying tobacco. but there are some flowers which have very pleasant smell. For example, your jasmine, rose, rangoon, and so on. Okay, have conspicuous flower, as I already told you. If not, then grow in clusters. If the flowers are not conspicuous, then many flowers they grow in clusters. For example, capitulum of sunflower. Okay, pollens are edible pollen grain. For example, rose and magnolia. So some insects visit to eat the pollen grains. Then about nectar. Entomophilous flowers produce nectar, so insects visit to suck the nectar, and in this way they carry out the cross pollination. Now here are some classic example of insect pollination. Wonderful examples are there. So first one is pollination in yucca. Okay, so this is a yucca flower. There is a mutual relationship between yucca and moth. Moth is Pronuba. Now let's see what is the relationship. See this diagram, this is the moth. This moth collect the pollens and store it in the head. Okay, now this is a female moth. Okay, now it reaches to another plant, it reaches to another flower, where it reaches to the ovary, dig a hole in the ovary and lay the eggs inside. Okay, it lay the eggs, then after laying the eggs it reaches to the top of the stigma and pushes the pollens here, the pollens which she is having in the head. She pushes that pollens here. So now after some time fertilization takes place and the seeds are sets. In this way this moth is pollinating the plant, and the larva of the moth get food from the plant. They eat the seeds. Okay, are you getting my point? This is how pollination in yucca takes place. Next is about pollination in orchids. The scientific name is Ophrys speculum. Always underline the scientific name. I forget to underline. Okay, Ophrys speculum. If you watch the flower of orchid, you will see the flower resemble a hairy female moth. This is the flower, Ophrys speculum. Okay, so it resembles the female moth. This is how it resembles. The moth name is Colpa aurea. Now when the male comes, they think that this is the partner, so they come there and they copulate because they assume that they are their female partners, and in this way they bring about cross pollination. Next is pollination in ficus. Hypanthodia. Remember this theme. Inflorescence of ficus is known as hypanthodia. It is very important from the examination point. Pollination takes place by wasp and the name is Blastophaga. Okay. Now if you watch Hypanthodium, it is closed from all the side except and narrow opening is there which is called ostiole. So this is the narrow opening. This is Hypanthodium. So to study this, I'll show you one image. Before that, you know, these Hypanthodia contains two types of female flower, fertile flower and sterile. Okay, inside this there are two types of flower, fertile female flower and sterile female flower. Sterile female flowers are also called gall flowers, and at the top there are male flowers. Okay, so let's learn about it. So this is a fig plant. Okay, ficus. Now when the wasp pollen-laden wasp. I am talking of a pollen-laden wasp. Visit this fig plant. It enters it through the ostiole. Narrow opening is there, ostiole, and moves inside. And here there are female flowers. Two types of flowers are there. Gall flowers. They are sterile and fertile flowers. Now it go inside to lay eggs, and after some time it lay eggs there, and in the simultaneously it pollinates some female flower. Okay, because it is having what? Pollens. Okay, I am talking of the female mode. It is having pollens, and this way it comes inside to lay eggs, and at the same time it pollinates the female flowers. Now from the eggs, the male wasp emerges first. Male wasp comes out first, and it moves here and there in search of female partners. So as in when it comes in contact with the female partner, it fertilizes, and then after some time it dig a hole for the females to move out. After that this male die. Okay, then the females collect the anthers, because after some time this plant matures, and then they collect the pollens from the flower and moves out. Now they are having pollens, they go somewhere and they want to lay their eggs, so they come in contact with other plant, and again they go inside and pollinate that plant. This is how the pollination in ficus takes place. Now about the pollination in salvia. This is a beautiful salvia flower. The petals are gamopetalous, means they are fused. Okay, polypetalous means petals are free. Here the petals are fused and they make two lip, upper lip and lower lip. Okay, and now if we see the anther, in the anther there is a stretched connective. This stretched connective divide two lobes of the anther. The lower lobe is sterile, upper lobe is fertile. Okay, these are the two lobes in this diagram. You will see these are the two lobes. The upper one is the fertile anther lobe and this one is the sterile anther lobe. Now when this insect comes to suck the nectar from the flower, it sits on the lower anther lobe, that is a sterile lobe. So what will happen? Due to the liver mechanism, the upper anther touches the back of the insect and all the pollens are shed on the back side of the insect. Now if this insect move out and visit another flower, in this way it pollinates that flower. Are you getting my point? Is it clear? This is how pollination in salvia takes place. Now about ornithophily. Ornithophily means pollination by birds. So now the most common birds pollinator are hummingbird, crow, bulbul, parrot, miana and so on. Now there are some characteristics of ornithophilous flower. First is the flowers are large in size. They are brightly colored, beautiful colors are there. These flowers produce abundant of nectar. Flowers are generally tubular or funnel shaped. Watch these flowers, you can see the corolla are tubular shape. Okay. Example of ornithophilous flowers are bombyx, callistemum and agave. Now move on to the next one. This is the last one. Caryopterophily, pollination by bats. Okay. The flowers are dull colored. They produce strong scent and abundant of pollen grains. These flowers also secrete more nectar. Examples of bats pollinated plants are Kigelia pinnata, Anthocephalus as well as Bonia. Okay guys, I hope you like this lecture. I want your valuable feedback. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching my videos.